What's going on, everybody? It's Eric from Panola here, and we're continuing our trek through Security Plus as a part of the Intro to Cybersecurity, Networking, and Digital Forensics program at Panola College. More on that in a minute. But today we're going to be taking a look at Objective 1.2 here up on the screen of the Security Plus CompTIA exam, where we are given a scenario to analyze potential indicators to determine the type of attack. Now, this comes from our textbook that we're using at panola.edu for some of our courses of the CompTIA Security Plus Study Guide for SY0-601 certification. And we're taking a look specifically in chapters 3, 4, and 7 for this particular objective. Now, in Objective 1.1, we kind of covered the social engineering, physical, and password attacks by going through the different types of influences, types of attacks, and some mitigations here and there, and going over some of the in-person techniques as well. So we'll touch on this one first as we talk about how this lines up with Objective 1.2, specifically where we are analyzing the potential indicators. So how do we do that? Well, we look at some of the stuff that's coming through and see if it matches one of those 7 influences that we discussed in the last video for Objective 1.1. Or we look at some of the physical attacks or some of the phishing techniques that's being used by a potential attacker for a victim that's targeted within the organization. Is there shoulder surfing going on for that in-person stuff? Is there soliciting of information across the wire for like phishing attempts over emails for the digital side of things? And as we keep an eye on this, not just the security features that we have implemented within our organization for the digital systems, but also that physical stuff, we can begin to implement controls based on what we're finding out as that security technician or security administrator. It may be that we have to ban people that don't work in our organization from the lobby, or there's a particular area where we have visitors check in at, and we make sure that people are guided or assisted that don't have proper access to certain features and roles within the building, if it makes sense. But now it gets a little bit more difficult when we take a look at malicious code and later on the cryptography of everything. But one of the easiest ways to be able to mitigate these attacks for malicious code is verifying a hash. So we know that when we're installing software from a verified vendor, let's say Microsoft and its operating system, there's going to be a hash table. Now you may be asking yourself, what is a hash? Well, a hash is an output from an algorithm based on the data that's within a file. So let's say we have a text file and we want to hash it for verification purposes. We would run through that hash, and let's say text file 1 up here on the screen now has a hash value of 123. Well, if anything is changed inside of that file, not necessarily the file name, but just inside the file itself, that will change the hash because the data inside that file has changed as well. So now file 1, if it keeps the same name, has a different hash value. And because these two don't match, something has happened between the original and the copy that we have now. So keeping a hash table of files that are critical to our systems would be a way to mitigate any kind of malicious code that we find within the organization or prevent it overall. Now, there are 2 specific types of hashing that you'll see in the CompTIA exam, and one of them is specific with MD5. MD5 is an older hash technique that we have used in the past. And then we have the more broad term, the SHA. And this is the SHA family. So we have SHA-1, SHA-256, and some others. But these different techniques allow us to be able to output a value of verification of data that's within that particular file. Now, overall, the best way to do this is to use multiple hashing values, which is why sometimes on particular sites, let's say like GitHub, if you're looking for a file, you may see that before you download it, that there's an MD5 hash and a SHA hash right below that. So MD5 being older, there have been ways for it to be compromised. But if both of those hashes match up after you download it to your system before running it, if they match what was on that site and before it was sent to you, then you know that nothing has been tampered inside of that file. And therefore, no malicious code is in that file either. Now, this technique can be used with cryptography and the public key infrastructure as well, because again, if the file has been left alone from point A to point B and the hashes are the same, regardless of the type of encryption or PKI stuff that's been applied to it, it's still going to be the same file from beginning to end. Cryptography allows us to be able to verify the privacy of that particular piece of data, because this all falls under the original CIA Triad. And for those that don't know already, the CIA Triad covers C for confidentiality, I for integrity, and A for availability, where confidentiality is that cryptography part of what we're going about to protect our data. Because if we only want certain people to be allowed access to that data, we're going to encrypt it and only make sure that those that need the information have the key to unlock it. Well, hashing helps us value the integrity of that file. Is it the same as it left from point A to point B? And if it's changed, then the integrity of that file has been altered. And availability is making sure that access to that data is maintained. So this would be like making sure that the network stays up, the systems are not compromised, etc., etc. And through the different areas of the objectives that we learn continuing throughout Security Plus, we'll be able to apply those back to this original Objective 1.2 of making sure that we can analyze those potential indicators of compromise and identify the type of attack. Now, that's not just to say for the digital side, because as we saw in Objective 1.1, where we were doing social engineering and physical attacks, there are physical things out there, and we do need to be able to analyze if our physical controls are being kept, or if there's something that we need to update as well too. Now, this one was kept pretty short because Objective 1.2 is just an intro and kind of a scratch the surface of being able to keep this in the back of your mind as we continue throughout the rest of the Security Plus material and objectives. So go ahead and smash that like and subscribe, follow along with more Security Plus objectives, and check out panola.edu for other courses involved in cybersecurity, networking, or even digital forensics as we continue our trek together here on the YouTubes. That's all I have for now. Y'all take care.